Good morning, guys. Welcome to the Velasquez Vlog Show. Today, you're gonna experience the first episode of the first season of my blogging, podcasting, or however you wanna call it. The idea is to inform and motivate. So let's get to it. So here we are. All right, man. So thank you for coming into the Velasquez Vlog Show, man. And it's an honor to have you here and to be able to give you um, pretty much just to introduce you into the show, and hopefully you can share some knowledge about how to invest. So let me go ahead and just introduce you real quick, okay?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So we have Aaron Adams. He was a sergeant in the military in the United States Marine Corps. He was active duty from 2009 to 2013. He did one deployment. Then he went into the reserves from 2015 to 2017. He got a business as a business degree in Bachelor of Science from the University of Houston. He got a master's of jurisprudence. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, Masters of Jurisprudence.
Okay, yeah, okay, close enough. And in wealth management from Texas A&M Law School. He's also set to sit for the Certified Financial Planner Designation exam in the spring of 2021. The CFP is the industry leading designation for financial advisors and planners. Now, the question is, what drew you into the personal finance and money management uh, business? Can you tell me more about that? Like what got you into it?
Yeah, man, of course. So, going through the business degree at university in the world of investments just kind of fascinated me. So, I guess one thing kind of spitballed into another. So I decided uh, from my business degree, I'd focus on finance, learn the ins and outs of the investment world. Um, I ended up meeting an advisor who became my mentor, and once again, just completely fell in love with the industry. And so, I guess it just kind of it was a good fit.
Okay. But let me ask you something. What made you get a master's, well, in law? Because this is pretty much the study of theory of law, correct?
A couple of different reasons there. One, the wealth management track at A&M Law School for their Masters of Jurisprudence actually satisfies the requirement on the CFP education.
Oh, I
So
see.
correct. So in order for me to sit for that exam next year, this will satisfy the education requirement there. That's one part of it. Two, I've always wanted to get a master's degree. And three, I've always liked A&M. So kind of three.
Okay. So if you had to decide between being a Cougar and being an Aggies fan, which one would you choose? I mean,
I go the Aggie route, man. I mean, but at least now I've got both, right?
yeah, you can always choose. You can always choose a side, huh?
Exactly.
Okay. Well, if whenever they don't treat you well, you're always welcome to the Cougar's house. Coog's house, whose house? You know how it is.
Oh,
Okay, man. So I want you to give me a brief about what we're gonna talk today, and then later on, I will ask you some questions that people that want to get into investing will ask you for the first time. Can you tell me about what you do? Can you tell me about how do you help others? Plan a financial strategy for the future.
yeah, of course. So, I mean, everything in the world of personal finance, it starts with setting goals. It starts with budgeting. It starts with saving. So when I meet with individuals, well, let me back up a little bit. One thing I love to do is to educate people. And in the world of personal finance, I mean, you've got your degree, I've got my degree. I can't tell you one thing or one class that taught me how to save for retirement or to plan how to buy a house or anything of the sort. Um, I even took investment classes and management classes, and nobody ever taught you how to manage your own personal finances, which is kind of important. So everything I do starts with education. So if I, when I sit down with a client, it's all about understanding what's important to you, highlighting key points along the way to kind of get you to understand and kind of get you re-geared mentally to focus on these aspects. So, um, kind of the key topics that I like to touch on is savings. That's always big. People like to, I don't know. I've met more people that like to spend more than they like to save. It doesn't matter how much money you make. So savings is always important, and falling into that, it's budgeting. You know, the world's biggest companies follow different budgets, and they're successful. So why can't we follow a budget? Mainly because your household is a business. If you really think about it, you've got cash inflows, you've got cash outflows, and it's all about how you manage those inflows and outflows uh, as to whether you will succeed or not. Um, next we talk about investing. You know, there's a lot of, how can I say, there's a lot that goes into investing that kind of scares people, as far as stocks and bonds and ETFs and mutual funds and options and et cetera, et cetera. Uh, I mean, there's too many people out there that are afraid to get into it. They've heard of individuals that have lost a fortune when it comes to investing. Some people that are old enough to remember it still talk about Enron. So a couple lessons there. Don't always put your eggs in one basket. Understand your own risk. Everyone's got their own tolerance for risk. Some people might be aggressive, some might be conservative, and within those tolerances and understanding what your goal is it long term, short term, what is it going to be, a retirement account, so on and so forth. So taking all these variables into consideration, uh, I help the client kind of understand and develop an investment strategy to achieve those goals. So moving on, another thing I talk about with clients is protection and hedging against risk. So to keep it real simple, that is insurance. Um, Lastly, all of that kind of builds to retirement. We're all going to retire one day, hopefully, uh, and it's a long road to get there. And there's a lot that you need to do, and to be able to have a plan in place, that way you can get from now until retirement. It's completely necessary. And then lastly, for a lot of people, it's estate planning, and that could be as simple as just getting your will done. I come into too many people. I mean, my parents for a while didn't even have a will, and that's kind of a huge thing, especially for those that own businesses, have kids, uh, even those who have a lot of firearms. So that's things that we think about, and that's all the topics that I focus on whenever I sit and talk with clients.
Let me ask you a quick question before you keep going. When it comes to wills, I hear proper planning for wills as well, but for people that obviously they need to write the will, how often should they update their wills? Because sometimes things don't happen for decades. Let's say nothing happens, but how often should people plan update their wills as time goes
I
by?
like to do it. I like to do it annually, because
Annually,
once a year I
okay.
like to sit down with somebody and review your whole portfolio, review your whole financial plan, see if we need to make adjustments. So at the same time, why not go over the will just to make sure everything is still good to go and squared away? Now, I'm not a lawyer, so I can't do much with the will, but at least we can look over it. And I have a lawyer that I work with hand in hand. So if we do need to make changes, I bring him in, we revise documents, so on and so forth. But to answer your question, at least once a year, even if it's just to make sure everything is correct still.
Okay, okay. Um, Let me ask you something here real quick. Whenever we talked, you brought up the stock market topic
Mhm.
just a few minutes ago. When it comes to the market, how is it I guess reflecting on investors' decisions to move their money around? Because the stock market right now is not at its best. We know that it has fallen, and we know that it gets people emotional, right? We know it's gonna go back up. We know we know that things are gonna get back to normal at some point. But for people that you're trying to bring in now into investing and stuff, how are you able to help them, guide them to not get scared and continue with the planning of investing?
That's a great question because a lot of people that I've run into are very reluctant to get into the market right now. Um, One of the things that I like to draw a parallel to is, what happens whenever you see the big once a year sale at Macy's? You go and buy clothes or whatever you need to do. Basically what I like to think of is when the stock market's down, things are on sale. So I would much rather buy things when they're cheap and then let them grow over time versus buy when it's high. And that way I can just maximize my growth. It's always more important to leave your money in the market than it is to time the market. The more you try and time the market, the more you're going to lose.
Okay. And now, when it comes to that, what do you suggest for people that want to do it? Let's say, you know what, Adam, let's do it. Aaron, sign me up. I want to start investing, right?
Great.
But that's the good news. Now, the bad news is, how do we know these guys can handle the commitment? Because this is, let's be honest, this is a commitment. This is not just, let's go see if it works out. It's a commitment because you want to make sure that it goes for the long haul. So my question is, how do we know how to commit a new client, into, I guess, investing? Because we can't give them the same plan we can give somebody else that's making more, that's making less. What's the ratio, the percentage ratio they have to be making, and what they have to be investing to make it work?
Well, there's a couple of different questions there. So first, it's going to all boil down to what the risk tolerance is for each individual person. So let's just, for sake of argument, say we're dealing with an aggressive investor. I want to make as much money as possible. I can handle some loss, but I'd rather try and capture more gains than the average guy. In order to kind of get the guy or get the person, get their mindset right, it's all about coaching. So for an aggressive investor, you're going to be subject to a lot of volatility in the market, right? So it's going to take a lot of coaching on my end, reminding him, hey, there's going to be dips, there's going to be good days, there's going to be bad days. Staying invested is the key here. So just, whether it's quarterly, whether it's monthly, annually, however many times that we need to establish communication, it's all going to go back to coaching. There's a lot of people that get, real finicky when the markets start to dip a little bit. My advice is, hey, if you got a couple extra bucks, buy it. It's on sale. It'll go up eventually. Now, if you're playing penny stocks, that's a whole other ball game. But I'm talking, mutual funds, ETFs, and solid stocks.
Okay. Now, for a person you want to bring on board for investing, what do you recommend their financial stability should be? Because, for example, you're not gonna bring somebody. Well, that's just an opinion, because from observation. But if somebody that's struggling to make it out in the real world, and you're trying to bring him into investing, how do you convince them? How are you able to help him? Let's say save $10 a month, $100 a month, or something into that investment plan, so they don't withdraw because there's, what, I can't afford to pay $100 a month. I have to stop. How do you how do you guide them?
Well, let me just throw something in there real quick. If I meet a guy or a person, a family, whomever, and they're struggling with their budget, and we're living paycheck to paycheck. Well, right now investing might not be the go-to. Uh, we'd have to go back to almost square one, where hey, we need to sit down. We need to look at all of your cash inflows and your cash outflows for your household. We need to establish where we can find some efficiencies and really create a solid budget. Uh, I've sat down with people that live paycheck to paycheck. We pull up bank statements, we go through everything, and we're spending $500 a month on going out to eat. Now, me, I love my fair share of food. Uh, but $500 a month, that's a little steep. I mean, I could spend $500 a month on groceries and live, and eat generously for the entire month. So it's all going to go back to establishing a budget. So, if we have all of our bills paid for and we're just living a little extra frivolously, or a little beyond our means, then maybe we can scale that back and we can take some of those dollars and we can put them into something. But before we have our budget done, before we have an emergency savings done, I don't even want to talk about investing. That answer your question?
Yeah, there are proper things you have to do first, or you recommend to do first before getting into investing.
Right. It's like me going out to buy a car before I get my driver's license. I can't drive a
It's
car, right?
possible, right? People do it. It's possible. They can actually buy
No,
a car first and then never get a driver's license. But
you
what you
can, but
uh-huh.
there's a process to go in there.
Right.
Maybe that wasn't the best
And
analogy, but it was off the top of it.
it's all right, man. It's all right. What's important is that the people have no idea how to start, have a basic foundation of where to begin. Because, for example, we're talking about investing and stuff, but we're totally forgetting about the other stuff. We're not bringing the other stuff about make sure you have a life insurance, make sure you have this other things square away before we get into investing. You know,
Right.
so yeah, it's always good to
Or,
know where to start.
oh, exactly. I mean, people think investments are sexy, and they are,
And there are,
because you
yeah,
can make a decent chunk of change. And you've got these day traders out there, and they can make a good chunk of money. But baby steps. You have to start from square one before before you can get anywhere else. Crawl before you walk before you run.
of course, of course. You gotta kind of respect the process in order for you to be successful in investment.
Absolutely.
Okay, real quick. Now, my first question is, what can I expect? What can in, people can expect if they invest in the stock market? What can they expect?
So I get this question a lot. I even had someone come up to me, hey, I want to make 50% on my money. Shit, don't we all? So it's all about setting realistic expectations. So once again, we look at risk tolerance. If we have a conservative investor, you're not going to make double-digit returns based on how we're going to allocate your money. So you know for good aggressive investor, excuse me, you could probably get double-digit returns, but it's all dependent on the market and what you invest in. But to come in and say I want 50% returns, that's set realistic goals and expectations.
Yeah, man, that don't we all, you know? And the thing is that I invested in the stock market these last few months, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I've been lucky. I've been lucky that I've been moving my money around properly, and I made a few $1,000s. I'm not gonna lie. But the thing is, right now, as soon as I invested, the market dropped. But I have to hold the stock because that's the only way you can guarantee that you're not gonna lose anything. You can gain. So you have to be patient, and I think that's a key in investing is being patient.
Mm-hmm. Patience is key. Now, for things that you're doing, so you're doing more day trading right now, correct? Always kind of watching.
Yeah, I'm always watching it, day trading. I regret not investing in Tesla when it was like $300. I don't want to think about that. But but yeah, that's what I do to move my money around. Right now, it hasn't been touched for a couple of months because for some reason the stock market hasn't gone up yet. So I'm leaving it alone. But uh, but yeah, that's what I've been doing, man. With I use
Robinhood?
yeah, Robinhood. Yeah, that's what I'm using right now.
Okay. Now, for people that like to day trade and do things like that, uh, make sure you do a proper analysis of companies before you dive into them. Whether it's looking at their financial statements or their history, so on and so forth. But for those that want to do that, I really just try to preach like know what you're putting your money in. Don't just look at, hey, it's gone up 5% today. Let me go ahead and hop in on this. Um, so just really understand what you're getting into if you're gonna day trade.
I think the smart thing when it comes to ETFs and those type of stocks or bonds or we like to name those um, stocks is that these stocks are funded by other companies, so they're formed by other companies. That if, for example, that if the market drops, yes, the ETF would drop, but I don't think it's gonna drop as much as a as an individual stock. You can always
Oh, you're
get that.
absolutely right.
Yeah, go ahead. Can you go ahead and explain that a little bit?
Yeah. So an ETF is, in other words, an exchange traded fund. Basically, it's just a pooled investment. It's basically just look at my cup here. And I've got all these pins in it. It's the same thing. So
Yeah.
I've got a bucket, and you have somebody that picks these stocks and throws them into this bucket. And then ETFs are more of a set it and forget it. They're very tax efficient. They're low cost, which I love low cost and tax efficient. So you've got this bucket, and you get instant diversification. If you buy one stock, you're subject to all profit and loss of that one stock. So if the stock tanks 40, 50%, you're out 40, 50%. But if you have, let's say, 100 stocks and one stock goes down 50% and the rest go up 50%, well, you're making money. So that's the beauty of pooled investments. And another pooled investment would be a mutual fund. And those are more actively managed. But those do typically have a higher fees. I mean, there's a million mutual funds out there. But that is the beauty of pooled investments, is you get the diversification. So that way, if one loses, you won't lose it all.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for explaining that a little bit more thorough. Because I knew I had an idea how they work, but I'm glad you cleared that out. Um,
Yeah, of course.
Second question: what role does an advisor or planner play in my investments?
I like to I'm not a big sports guy, to be honest, but I do like to equate it to sports. So even in the NFL, you don't have a football team that doesn't have a head coach, right?
Yeah.
So, every football team's got several coaches, they've got several fitness trainers, so on and so forth. So, an advisor kind of plays the role of the coach. So, it's the advisor's job to instruct, to educate, to guide, and to basically help make sure the financial plan um, is fulfilled.
Yeah. Of course. Of course. And most of the people I bet that you're trying to bring in on board for life insurance, investing, trying to secure a financial future are not experts with money. So that's where you come in hand and help these guys out.
Oh, of course. I mean, there, like I said earlier, we go through school, whether it's junior high, high school, college, grad school, and no one really tells you how to succeed with your money. So that's why I made it kind of a personal mission to help other people understand that these are what needs to happen. You need to have a plan, you need to have a budget, you need to have proper savings, proper investment, and a proper structured portfolio within those investments. So uh, yeah, basically education. It all goes back to education. I'm a, I'm,
Exactly.
I'm a glorified teacher without the title.
Yeah, and there is a lot of people out there that are willing to be opened up and learn about these things. And I did a blog today, live on the new page, and I talked about money. That was my subject. That was my topic for today, was money. You know, and I talked about how a lot of people can know how to make money, but they don't know how to manage it. you know
Mm-hmm.
and you need that proper education in order for you to be able to manage that money properly and make something out of it, because you can have a $1 million job, but if you don't have $1 million mindset to manage that money, you can lose it in a heartbeat, you know just by not
Of course.
managing it properly. um,
Yeah.
why should I care about having a financial plan? I mean, why should I care? My parents didn't do it, my grandparents not even close, so why should I care?
Well, one thing that I like to point out when people like to compare grandparents to now, a lot of companies that our grandparents worked for had pension plans. So you worked for a company for 40 years and you paid into a pension and you get a paycheck for the rest of your life. You're golden. You don't have to worry about it. But ever since the 401k was introduced, the risk has been taken off the company and put onto the individual employee. If you have a 401k at work, it's your responsibility to manage your portfolio. It's your responsibility to look at everything and make sure you're on track to reach your goals. So when we compare then to now, we bear all the risk as employees. So that's one huge key thing that I like to point out. But the importance of the financial plan, if I'm going to drive to, let's just say Colorado, because I'm going to Colorado next week, I can't go there if I don't have a map because I don't know what I'm doing. So basically, to have a financial plan, that's essentially a roadmap to your success. That basically says, here's what I'm doing now, and here are all the little things that I have to do to get to my goal, which for most is retirement. So, I think it's very important to carry a map or a GPS system with me when I'm driving. So it's just as important to have a financial plan. Here's another thing. So you're a Marine, and we have a lot of Marines that are going to watch this, hopefully. And in the Marine Corps, they literally had a roadmap for each MOS to tell you what you need to do to get to each rank, right? Do you remember those?
Yeah, I remember.
Okay. So same thing as a financial plan. It tells you how you're going to succeed.
Yeah, and it's always good to have one, and it's never too late to learn. I know some of us have that pride, that ego, that closed mind when it comes to learning new things, but I think a financial education is something we all need, whether you're a doctor or you're a middle school dropout. It's always important to have one, regardless of who you are and where you've been and where you think you're gonna go. Because if you have a family, if you have kids, you want them to make those right financial choices. You want to make sure they don't make the mistakes we did. you know so whenever they're educated, they can make better decisions with their money. And we want the best for them, and we want them to succeed more than we did. At least that's the idea.
Oh, that's always the idea. Whether it happens, that's a whole other conversation for another day.
Yeah, of course. I have two more questions. How
Yeah.
soon should I start worrying about retirement, and what should I invest in?
That's something that sometimes keeps me awake at night. But as far as when you should start worrying about retirement, you should start worrying about retirement, now. Whether you're 41, 21, 31, it doesn't matter. Um, you should always be worried about your retirement. Unless you plan on working till the day you die, it's important at least to get a plan in place now as far as what you should invest in. And we kind of talked on this earlier. It all depends on your risk tolerance. It all depends on your goals, whether long term or short term, your time horizon. There's a million variables at play. So there's no one portfolio or strategy for each person. It's not a cookie cutter thing. It's always a custom thing. It's always dynamic to each individual.
I don't know. I know that I'm Hispanic, right? Not just by my
Yeah.
accent, but in my culture, we are not really financially educated. You know, um, we you these words trigger this. You said that do we expect to work our entire life? In my culture, that's exactly the mindset that most of us have, is to work our entire life, right? Because you work for what you're gonna get. But we are never taught about how to manage money, from day one. And this is the beauty of financial advising, is that you're able to work smart with your money and not work hard for the rest of your life, because it's not just about working hard, it's about working smart with your money.
Oh yeah. Hang on 1 second.
Yeah, I got you, man.
I was outside trying to get in.
Oh, okay, okay. Oh man, no worries, man. At least the dog let you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, man. Well, I'm not gonna take much of your time. I appreciate you being here. Thank you for the education, for the lesson that you gave us to financial advising. Now, I do have one thing I want you to tell the audience, like, where can they reach you at? What social media pages do you have where they can get a hold of you if they want more information or they want to get into investing or life insurance?
Yeah, sure. So the best way to contact me, I've got Facebook, I've got LinkedIn, I've got Instagram. Just look me up on any one of them. Aaron Adams on Facebook, LinkedIn dash AM Adams 01. Oh, good Lord, I can't remember what my Instagram one is, but um, I'm always available. I'm always here to talk. You know, feel free to shoot me a message, whatever y'all need, and answering questions is my job.
Yeah, man. I will definitely put all your information of how people can get a hold of you under this video that I upload, so they can just tap the link and they can just directly find you without looking for your name or anything. As soon as they press that link, they should be able to find you without a problem.
Okay, that'll work.
Yeah, man. Thank you again for coming into the vlog show, the Velasquez Vlog Show. Um, it's the first episode, so I was really excited and really hyped about it. And thank you for being part of history, and thank you for being open, for opening your schedule.
Yeah, if you ever have any other specialty topics you want to talk about in the future, whether it's focusing on, a mutual fund in the future, or whatever, always glad to help.
There's so much to talk. You do a lot of things, so I'm gonna bring you again for some other topic, probably entrepreneurship or probably fitness and health. We got some probably coffee. I know you got your company on coffee. Can you tell us
Yes,
a
I
little bit
do.
about that before we go?
Yeah, real quick. So, just a real quick story how it started. So, we ended up seeing a video on Facebook that was sponsored from a coffee farm and a coffee company, and he was a disabled veteran-owned small business. And so we linked up with him, and now we contracted with their farm in Honduras, and we now have our specialty roast coffees, and damn, they're good.
What's the name of the company, man? What's the name of your company?
Bellum Coffee Company.
Okay,
So,
okay.
I'll go on and post the video, and that way I can have a link for everybody to take a look at it. But
I'm sure once they find you, they'll be able to see the coffee you're
yeah,
working with, and what your plan is and what you're doing, to get your coffee out there to the people and to the public.
well, shit, man, just come by my house. I'll brew you a cup.
All
That goes
right,
out to
man. You know what? I want to get into. I want to order a coffee. I want to get me some coffee, so I can taste it. In case I can't make the trip possible, at least I can taste the coffee.
absolutely. I'd love that.
Yeah, man. Just if you can, whenever you can, just DM me how to be able to get my hands on some of that coffee, and then I'll go ahead and buy some.
You got it.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much for your time, Aaron. I appreciate the tips and the lesson you have gave us today, and I can't wait to bring you in again.
All right. We'll see you later.
All right, take care, man.
Bye.
Bye.